Hello and welcome. I'm Charles Ite. As we've been stating in our headline story, the top story for this hour is that Ghana's GDP, that's a gross to domestic product, grew to 6.6% in the third quarter of this year amid the scourge of COVID-19 and its ravaging, impact on every sector of the economy. We shall be bringing you details onto the drivers of this particular growth and what this means for our economy. But in the meantime, the controversy surrounding the 1.75% levy could be sending wrong signals to Ghana's investor public. Now, this is a warning that economists are flagging as Parliament struggles to reach a consensus on the approval or rejection of the levy. Joy Business interrogates the cost buildup, investor risks, and consumer anxiety of the 1.75% levy in this special feature. It was an awkward scene to behold on the floor of Parliament. Members of the House scrambling to get their entrenched positions known on the controversial electronic levy. There are two sides of the argument: the revenue generation intention by government as against concerns over the cost implication by many consumers of electronic transaction products, including techpreneurs.
We need to get creative about it.
Take a listen to the Finance Minister, Ken Oforiatta, explain to Joy Business why the e-levy must be passed at all costs.
I think it is clear in my mind the significance of the financial architecture if we are to make any progress of the transformation that we had. So the SEC is important for capital markets because you are then beginning to look at the real issue of infrastructure needs and long-term capital, which has been the bane in this country for a while. How do you garner or mobilize the revenue resources for that? I'm extremely excited about the future because I think we have changed the landscape of the introduction of technology and the imposition of the ID system to GRA. But that's not the end of it, because we are now also going to be able to link individual activities at DVLA, or even when you purchase a home or when you purchase an airline ticket, so that we'll be getting to a point where we actually know where people's incomes are, and then they can contribute their fair share to nation building through effective tax system.
Ever since this policy document for some taxation on electronic transactions came up, economists in Ghana, some of them actually, have been skeptical about its efficiency and trickle-down success as a tax handle.
I don't subscribe to the Momo tax.
Professor Godfred Bokpin is an economist and finance lecturer at the University of Ghana. He is warning that the very purpose for which the levy is intended for may not be achieved.
The principle is wrong. Implementing is going to be problematic. You are taxing movement of money. You are not taxing transactions. And it's neither consumption tax nor income tax. You can't place it here or there and all of that. And you see, the reason I'm concerned is that COVID has fast-tracked the arrival of the fourth industrial revolution predicated on network readiness. What does that mean? So the digital economy is what is going to drive the job creation ambition of any serious country. So, and we know that taxation can be deployed, fiscal policy can be deployed to promote rather than hinder. Studies have shown that the digital economy is going to expand faster, and more sustainably than the traditional economy. And the digital economy is an economy that is based on the deployment of technologies, apps, and the rest of them. So the economic output arising as a result of the deployment of these technological apps and the rest of it is essentially called the digital economy. And we have said that is the way to go. And by so doing, we realize that we've been able to mobilize funds that have been outside the financial system into the financial system broadly under what we call financial inclusion. So at this early stage, you actually don't introduce tax that will serve as a disincentive and drive people underground.
In the advent of the coronavirus pandemic, Ghana and the rest of the world saw a gigantic boom in electronic transactions. In fact, the total value of mobile money transactions hit 476.7 billion cedis in the first half of this year alone, with the total number of transactions being estimated at 1.9 billion cedis. Even though this showed that many more Ghanaians have embraced the mobile banking concept, 7% E-Levy has got many Ghanaians opting to rather keep their physical cash on them than electronically.
This E-Levy there, no, it's not good. This thing will affect many individuals in this country because now you can see that Ghana, we are passing through a lot of hardship. So this E-Levy, you are pleading with the government. This E-Levy will not help us. It will not help us because some of us, you are here, you have our parents in the village. So sending something small to them to manage E-Levy, it will disturb us a lot. So we are
I'm not against the E-Levy, but my idea or my suggestion is if the government can reduce it, that one will help. But 1.75% there, it is too much.
E-Levy, the almighty E-Levy. I think E-Levy is going to bring our work down. That's what I think. The agents, because most of the customers are now complaining they are going to move from mobile money. Even during the commission on it, they complains, and this 1.75, they'll be like, wow, it's too much. I'll be very grateful if it's either they slash it down or maybe they don't think about it.
Even without the levy, the 1.75 levy, my customers are complaining. And they were like, if they implement the 1.75 this thing, they will deduct their money from mobile money. I think they will withdraw their money from mobile money. They will not transact anymore. And I think it will bring my business down. So I'm not in support of that.
1.75, the 1.75, the about affecting business. Business, from because if somebody wants to send money to his family members, I don't think the person will come to us for the transaction, because if the person goes and withdraw their money, because of the charges, the charge is bigger than the order they say, they don't come here and send the money. So it will affect us. So on this coming demonstration, we all be available there and do a gargantuan demonstration.
So far, Parliament has adjourned sitting until the 18th of January next year. What this means is that the revenue target for this controversial bill may not be reached in the time being. Aside from the controversy, there are deep concerns over the signals that this sends to Ghana's investor community. I engaged the Center Coordinator for CART International, Apiakosi Dumako, on the marketplace. He paints a gloomy picture for investors in 2022.
How do we ensure that this thing doesn't affect investor confidence? In the short term, this can even affect how our CD performs. We are looking for the close of business today, how the CD would react to what happened in Parliament last night. And that is a short term. But I'm very confident that between now and January 7th, this issue will be resolved, because Parliament has its leadership, both minority and majority can sit down and chart a workable solution among this issue.
Of course, you deal with competitive policies, and you also engage the business community on how best they can remain competitive in the sub-region and even globally. We have also spoken to some of these, businessmen and women, entrepreneurs for that nature, and they're raising concerns about the E-Levy, saying that it could really, offset attractiveness to electronic platform usage in the country, and of course, entrepreneurs within this eco space as well. From where you sit, what particular risk does the E-Levy pose, aside its, attractiveness to revenue mobilization?
The E-Levy is helping government to get revenue to resolve its fiscal challenges. And also on the demands, on the supply side, those who are paying it, it also has a lot of issues on them. Because whenever you are transferring money from one point to another, government takes 1.75 plus what the platform users would also charge. So it's going to have effect on doing business in the country. But for me, what is more important is how do we ensure that this new levy that government has brought will not impact heavily on private sector and Ghanaians. And I think the best approach is government to bring the figure even below 1% and then maybe gradually increase it. But starting it at 1.75 for us is very huge. At 1.75, anybody that we talk to will say that it is not the best.
To lessen the impact on consumers, telecommunication companies and their mobile money operators have agreed to reduce the charges on transactions by 25% amid the possible introduction of the e-levy. The proposed levy is a charge of 1.75% on the value of electronic transaction. It covers mobile money payments, bank transfers, merchant payments, and inward remittances. Already we are picking up cases of panic withdrawals by some users of mobile money across the country, especially when some mobile money agents are also threatening to embark on a nationwide strike in protest against the controversial 1.75% e-levy. As it stands now, there are calls for both sides of the House to reach an agreement, especially when government says the revenue mobilization and the financing of development projects stands on this controversial levy. I'm Charles Aite reporting for Joy Business. And here on the marketplace, we stay a little longer on the e-levy because financial analyst Dr. Williams is advising governments to rather consider charging a VAT on 12.5% of the service fees charged by the telcos and banks transfers in place of the 1.75% e-levy. According to him, this proposal shall increase the VAT amount by 7.5%, that's 7.5 billion cedis actually, which is a 1.5 billion cedis shortfall of government estimate of 8.5 billion cedis on the proposed e-levy. Now, speaking yesterday on Business Live, Dr. Pepper believes that the VAT proposal will not be more problematic as compared to the controversial e-levy charge.
This is a major concern, and I think that government should probably, if the 1.75 is a problem, must use the VAT law to bring that one in. And in that case, it will not be a major issue. If you listen to the minority, all they are saying is that the charge should not be on the transaction fee, but should rather be on the service fee charged by the telcos. So if government thinks that the 1.75 charge on the telcos will give them less than 1 billion, then they should use a value-added tax rate, and then that will give them about 7.5 billion, and which is almost close to the 8.5 billion that government projects to get from the 1.75. In fact, in economics, if government applies this transaction on the transaction fee, virtually government is going to receive all monies in the country, because for every single transaction done in the bank, which is electronically done, government is going to get 1.75. Also, all mobile money transactions, government is going to get 1.75. So, in a cycle form, government is going to, by the time we will see, government would have collected all the monies in the system back into their coffers for their operation. That's why the focus or the attention should go on the service fee.